Dawson's Rentals. Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome back to another How I Would Adapt video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but since we recently got the announcement that we are going to be sort of adapting elements of Kyuranger a la mmpr Seasons 2 and 3 for Cosmic Fury / Dino Fury Season 3, I thought it would be a good time to discuss, for fun, how I would adapt Cosmic Fury. Now, again, for fun, at the beginning of an end, I have some fun ways that you could potentially utilize the Kyuranger suits in the Dino Fury Cosmic Fury series, but it doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with my main adaptation. Like, the main things I'm talking about in this video doesn't have to have anything to do with Dino Fury, but I thought it would be fun to try to tie it in. So just at the top, I'll just say, without having anything to do with my adaptation necessarily, I think it would be cool if they used the Cosmic Fury, or excuse me, the Kyuranger suits as the original Rangers that piloted their Zords. So just for flashbacks and say, hey, the original Cosmic Rangers piloted these Zords you're getting now, show a few flashbacks, it opens it up for those suits and characters to be explored at a later date in a series or a comic or whatever. I think that would be fun. I just wanted to mention that. Now, just as far as my adaptation itself, divorced from that for now, again, I have a really timey-wimey way to tie this all together in a really dumb fanfiction-y fun way. Anyway, my adaptation. So, borrowing a little bit from the idea of my Zenkaiger adaptation, which was long in the future, but this wouldn't be as long in the future. Force from the future! I don't know why, I said the word future a lot, so that felt right to say that just then. Kyuranger adaptation. I promise I'll get to it eventually, but first, let's talk breakfast. No, I'm really random in this one. Okay, for real this time. So, the series would take place hundreds of years in the future, in probably the Prime Power Rangers dimension, but really just any dimension in Power Rangers where the Power Rangers had been a known entity for a long time. It could be just a variant of our dimension. It doesn't matter. The point is it's hundreds of years in the future. But now, before that, hundreds of years before our series main events take place, there was a major war between our major villain, you know, the Dark Matter villain, whose name escapes me from Kyuranger, but the main big bad, you know, he's just your classic big bad evil guy. What's his name in my adaptation? I don't know. Bad guy. That's his name. His name is Bad Guy. He had a big army, he wanted to conquer Earth and the universe like all the other sickos, and he fought against the Power Rangers for control of the universe. Fortunately, he was defeated, however, not without great cost, which was this universe was cut off from the grid, so Power Rangers could no longer be made, except for this new technology, which is the grid orbs, which are going to be the Qtama, that contain the last remnants of the grid energy and is the only way that the Cosmic Rangers or the Kyurangers can transform. And they're the only Ranger powers left. These 12 powers are the only powers left in this universe and are the only way Rangers can exist at the moment. As a result, they need to be very careful and scarce with them, so they establish an academy organization to train the best candidates to be these Rangers, and that's where we get the setup. So now for generations, these 11 Rangers, there will eventually be 12, are the only Rangers that exist in the universe because the grid only exists in this universe in these little orbs. And so with the Academy setup, I kind of like the idea of a semi-rotating cast, not to a confusing detriment. Like you would have effectively 10 main Rangers, as I would make the Sky Blue Bear Ranger just part of the main cast. And then you would have your Purple Mentor Ranger, really basic, boring stuff. And like that would just always be the leader of the Academy, always inherits the Purple Ranger powers. He would be a Mentor Ranger figure, easy peasy, we're done. But the other 10 are a bit rotating, as when someone proves themselves to be more worthy, they get to become the new Ranger. For example, someone at the Academy passes all the tests, they get to be tested to become the new Blue Ranger. If they're able to surpass the current Blue Ranger, not just in like strength and skill, but also prove that they're able to work in a team, they get to become the new Blue Ranger. Guys, I'm the new Blue Ranger. It's called the Guys, I'm the New Blue Ranger test. That's how I would do it. I would have a handful of Rangers that really never changed mantles, but you would have a semi-fun rotating cast. Sometimes it would be permanent, like, oh, this is the new Orange Ranger forever. Sometimes it would be like, oh, we got a new Pink Ranger, but it didn't work out. I think that would be a fun way to change things up. And I would have a rotating cast of human and alien characters in this series. And that would lend to stuff like, you know, Pink has wings, Orange has the tail, Black's like a, you know, big bison thing. So like those would be aliens. But since we live in a fictional world where Power Rangers would make their own props and their own footage like a normal show, I would also have fun variants. So at some point during the series, maybe a normal humanoid character becomes the Black Ranger, and we get to see what a Black Kyuranger suit in a humanoid style looks like. Maybe a really weird, like, fish alien with, like, spikes on his shoulders becomes the Silver Ranger, and we get to see a cool variant on that costume. I would play around with that. I think that would be fun for a one-off or a rotating thing, and kind of incorporate the diverse, like, human and alien cast. Now, as far as two extra Rangers in this series. You obviously have our 6th Ranger, Ho-Oh Soldier, the Phoenix Ranger, or whatever I would call him. Now, his suit would be the original Ranger power created from this, kind of like in Kyuranger, borrowing a little bit from that, but the original grid orb created this original Ranger that is the basis for all the Ranger forms and technology that have been created out of this. And this suit would be sitting on display in the Academy since the beginning of the series, simultaneously as like an honor of the first Ranger of this, but also to keep the suit safe, as it's the base code for any technology they need to make. It's too dangerous to put out in the field because it's weaker than the other Ranger powers. They don't want to lose it, and since it's weaker, it could be defeated or destroyed, and they wouldn't have that base code. But eventually, of course, it's going to make its way out, as I would have a reoccurring character who throughout the series would effectively insist we need all the Rangers we can out there. Now, why do you need all the Rangers you can out there? Sidetrack, what's the threat in this? Like, who are we fighting? Just crime, like petty crime, like robberies, minor misdemeanors, domestic disputes. No, I'm just kidding. The main villain is going to, spoiler alert, be the original villain that threatened thousands of years ago. He has managed to survive, and he's come back in a big way, and he's trying to conquer the Earth again, putting the Academy Rangers on the ropes for the first time in a long time. They've managed to keep the peace, so this is the great threat they're facing. And as the threat gets greater, this person thinks we need all the Ranger suits. He steals the Phoenix Ranger suit, and initially he's at odds with the team because they want the suit back. It's treason then. It was treason because he stole it. So he's kind of a rogue Ranger for a while. But he eventually proves himself by finding the lost 13th Grid Orb, which is the Orion Grid Orb, which was created to be the ultimate Grid Orb by the original creators of these powers to unite all the teams, and it also contains a small backup copy of all the Ranger powers so that if they ever are destroyed, they can be regrown. They can't reconnect to the grid or create new Ranger powers, but they can create a backup of these Ranger powers, and that was intended to be the main leader power and the most powerful one, and it was lost to time in a previous conflict, and he manages to find that for the Rangers. Now, in my series, the Orion White Ranger suit is a separate Ranger and not a power-up. And I would have our main Red Ranger, he would become that White Ranger, and he'd be like, "Howdy, it's Orion time." No, but he would do that, but just without the accent. I mean, I don't know, maybe he'll have an accent. I didn't do casting. Anyway, point is, our main Red Ranger would become the White Ranger, staying the leader of the team, but as the White Ranger in this new suit, and then someone else would take up the mantle of the Red Ranger, preferably like a female Red Ranger or an alien female Red Ranger, just to vary things up, and that's what I would do with that. Now, here's where the dumb timey-wimey stuff happens. Now, my ending for the series, regardless if I would tie it into Dino Fury, has to do with dumbass time travel, just because I thought it was fun. So the ultimate resolution would be the Cosmic Rangers travel back in time, and they stop the cutoff of the morphing grid from ever happening. They go back to the big final battle between all the Rangers and the original Dark Matter boss, again, his name, bad guy. And obviously they don't alter the outcome because he was defeated, but they change things slightly so that the grid is never disconnected. But as a result, their future no longer exists, their time remnants, they have to remain in the past, and then they just kind of become this remnants of these 12 Rangers that travel around the past and act as this roaming Ranger team as a remnant of a timeline that never existed. Now, that's a dumb, cliche, time-traveling ending, but I liked it, and this is my adaptation, so what I say goes. So, how would I tie this to Cosmic Fury? You wouldn't necessarily have to, but when I was coming up with the ending for this video, I thought, it's a fun idea. You have my whole adaptation, and then the Cosmic Rangers, they alter the timeline, they get trapped in the past, they're remnants of a timeline that no longer exists, they served as Rangers in the past, they eventually die out, and then the Morphin Masters take in what remained of their Zords and powers in honor of them because the Morphin Masters exist in the grid. They see time and space all happening at the same time. So they know of the sacrifice the Cosmic Rangers made. After the Cosmic Rangers pass away, they take in their materials and they pass them on to the Dino Fury Rangers. So it's kind of like, hey, here's these Zords and gear from these ancient Rangers, but they're not really ancient Rangers because they're from the future past. I don't know, it's dumb, but I thought, why not just mention it for the fun of it? And it doesn't have to be tied into that. But that's the basic idea. There's not a lot of nitty-gritty, I'm sure if I or someone was to work on the series, you'd make fascinating, more interesting characters and villain dynamics, but that's kind of the basics of how I would lay it out. But let me know what you think of this idea in the comments on what you think of possibly tying it to Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury for fun. Also, which Sentai that we haven't adapted would you like to see me do next? I'm debating about doing Dom Brothers because I would tie it to my Zenkaiger adaptation idea, but I don't want that to be too confusing for people, and I would have to sort of do a summary of my Zenkaiger adaptation. I don't know. Just let me know what you want to see in the comments. I will do Dawn Brothers eventually, but it'll just help me decide whether I do that next or I do another one. Anyways, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.